Hi, all. Welcome to Diversified Finance. So let's have a look at what happened overnight. So overnight, Federal Reserve increased interest rates by 75 basis points. And in his discussion, right at the start, he was so dovish, right? And then he was saying things like, we might not see like a 75 basis points like in December. So these are not the exact words, but he sounded as if he's not going to increase interest rates as much as 75 basis points in December. And halfway through, he just totally changed his view and he just gone like, dovish to hawkish. So what happened to the big, you can see what happened to the Bitcoin price. So initially price just went down, and because he spoke a little bit like dovish, the price went up. So what they have done here, this is all planned. What they have done, they just liquidated all the bears, right? So who short the market, they liquidated everyone first, and then he switched his tone, gone like hawkish, and then because when the price start like going up like that, people will probably close their shorts and they'll probably go into their longs. They probably open a lot of longs, and once that has happened, he just gone totally hawkish, and then the price just went down. So and then all the bulls got liquidated. So what they have done here, I mean, like it's supposed to be like massive day for like all the markets, and then prices came back up, and then it's at like 20,200, 300 or so right now. It as if like nothing happened. So what they have done, like they use them. I mean, they use Powell. The market makers use Powell, and then liquidated all the buyers and sellers up on the way up and down. And now it's as if nothing happened. So I mean, we just wasted our time. I mean, I got up like 5 o'clock or something, and I was listening to what he was saying. It's just a waste of time, right? So I mean, I wish I would just like slept probably a few hours and just like uh, I'm gonna know the news like anyway in the morning. So it's just a waste of time. Like these people, like I mean, how can we trust them, right? I mean, they say one thing uh, at the start, and then towards the end, like it's a complete different, like compared to what they said at the start. So we cannot trust these people. But if they okay, now what's going to happen? Let's go back to daily chart. Okay, so this is the daily chart. So now what could happen um, if they like we don't know. Like, if they say like they're going to increase interest rates maybe 75 basis points in December and maybe 50 in January. Probably in November, December, we might not see much of a rally, right? We were waiting for like Halloween effect, where we see like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and traditional markets just pump during November and December. We might not see that. Like I mean, it's too early to call anything right now, because normally after a Federal Reserve meeting and after they have increased interest rate, it takes about like 24 to 48 hours for this interest rate like news to sink in like with all the markets. So it's too early to call anything. So I'm not gonna go either way. But we have to wait and see. But if they see, it all depends on what they're gonna do. If they want to increase interest rate by 75 basis points in December, we might not see that sort of like a Halloween effect pump in November and December. So the one last thing we can hope for is like a Santa Claus rally, probably in December. If they just go 75 basis points, and in their discussion, if they say, okay, from January onwards, we're not going to do 75 basis points, rather we would do like 25 to 50 basis points, that'll be a good thing for the market, right? So market could rally. So even still, we don't know what would happen overnight. Like we need to wait and see what Nasdaq and Dow Jones and S&P 500 would do overnight. We can have a look at FTSE, like the London markets. Let me have a look at it right now. Yeah, FTSE it's like kind of down, like it's like 0.37% down. So it's not like going down like it's not like 1% down. So it's like 50-50, I would say. But we have to wait and see how Nasdaq S&P 500 would react like overnight. Like they drops like another say 3%, 2.5%. 2% likewise, that will drag the Bitcoin price down with it, right? So we have seen like the Bitcoin has mirrored the Nasdaq for the past 8-9 months, past like probably 2 years or so. So unfortunately, if that happens, it could go down. But I mean, let's look at the bright side, right? So if that's the case, we might not see a lot higher prices for Bitcoin for about another 3 to 4 months. So that means more consolidation, which is good, right? So we can accumulate for long term, right? If Bitcoin stays above these levels, it's a good thing. And then also, as you can see, this is the 200-day moving average. Yeah, so 200-day moving average. So it's somewhere near 2400. So more we consolidate, like then it'll give more time for these moving averages to come back down closer to where the price is right now. Let's say like if we consolidate for another 2 months, 200-day moving average will drop back down to like maybe about like 20K or so. So if that happens, it's easy to break about these trend lines, like and consolidate above these trend lines and go back up higher. So for the consolidation, I don't mind, but I don't really expect Bitcoin to drop down to 10K. I could be wrong, because there's a lot of people are waiting right now to buy Bitcoin at 10K, right? So market would probably won't let that happen. It's the same as what we seen in November 2021. Everyone was expecting 100K Bitcoin. It did not happen, right? The market just went down. So now everyone is expecting 10K Bitcoin. That would also not happen. It could drop back down to 17.5, or maybe like a little bit lower to like 15K. It could happen, and then it could be like a double bottom type of like a structure. So this bear market so far is quite similar to what we've seen in 2013-14 bear market, right? Quite similar to that bear market. And also we've seen in 2014, 13, 14 bear market, we've seen like a double bottom. So if that's the case, it might consolidate like in this range for 18 to 20K, 21K area for another 2-3 months. Again, then we might see another one last capitulation down to like 17,000 or 17.5, and then we might see a bigger rally for Bitcoin. Like as soon as the Federal Reserve indicate like that indicates that they're gonna slow down increase interest rates. That's when we see like Bitcoin tends to go up along with the traditional markets. So I'm going to look at this as like opportunity, right? I mean, I still believe looking at the charts, like if you look at MACD, you've seen like MACD cross, weekly MACD cross, which is really bullish. The last time it happened in 2019, late 2019, and we have already been in a bear market since we hit 69K last year. So it's rather you be in Bitcoin right now, or rather like being out of Bitcoin, because there's less risk if you buy right now. Let's say Bitcoin drops up 30-40%, you can still accumulate for long term, right? But what if like Bitcoin just pumps from here to about like 30K or something, and then you're going to completely miss out, and then you might have to FOMO in at 30K, and then we might see a bigger drop back down to 15K. That could be a possibility. So I'm going to look at this as an opportunity. I'm going to keep on DCAing. Apart from that, we've seen some alts, like this could be like a good news for some alts. Like if Bitcoin holds about like 20K for some time, that could probably help some altcoins to pop here and there, right? We've seen like really good bullish sort of structures for a lot of altcoins, which are like already down 99%. I discussed in my yesterday's video, we looked at Hero and AI, and I also want to have a look at Wild. This is another altcoin that we actually bought probably early this year. Okay, so this is a metaverse token. And I mentioned like, how first we need to draw a trend line, and then we need to see whether it has come closer to this trend line. And as you can see, this is a very good example. So this is wild, so metaverse token, and we have like 1, 2, 3 touch points, which is really good. And then now it's kind of like breaking out from this trend line, this green trend line, right? So I got the Fibonacci tool here. So if you have the Fibonacci tool from top to bottom, you can see this could go back up to. I already had some like during these times, like I think I bought around. I had some my portfolio around like 20 cents or so, 20 cents. This could when Bitcoin recovers, right, and then when we go back into like a bull market, like even like if it's like a bear market rally within this bear market, right, bear market rally, we could see it could come back all the way back out to $1.73, which is like a lot, right? So say from here, if it goes back up to, let's say, to 0.618. Let's say you buy it right now at 20, 30 cents, right? Kind of bit late, like I got in like around 20 cents. Anyways, like from 30 cents to here, looking at like 470, like 5x. So we put like $1,000, we probably be getting out, probably taking like $5,000 profit out if you buy this coin. So this is like a really good example. Let me just get rid of the Fibonacci tool so you can clearly see it. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, right? Look at this. He broke this trend line nicely, like nice 3 touch points, 1, 2, 3, and then broke above this trend line. So when that happens, it's kind of like bullish. It's just coming out. So as you can see, there's a nice consolidation. There's a higher low like compared to here. Like there's like a low here and there's another higher low. Right, price did not go down. We can also look at the RSI as well. Right now on daily chart, RSI is a little bit extended, right? We don't want to see it goes to like 70, like 75 or so. It's a bit extended. So what we could see, it could reject and could come back down to retest this trend line, right? It could drop all the way back to 20 cents. And if you want to add, you can add this coin like to your portfolio when it comes back down to 20 cents if it gets there. But if you, given that it broke above this trend line, you can still DCA. Again, none of this financial advice. I'm not asking you to buy any of these coins, so do your due diligence. Yeah, so this is like a really good example. So I already discussed yesterday. So it has a long way to get back up to this green trend line. And let's get the SLP. Yeah, SLP is very close to this trend line, right? So let's have a look at SLP. Yeah, so it's actually it's more like a double bottom, right? Which is looking good. And if you look at RSI is like pretty moderate, like it's like so many like 40. So it has long, if it comes, it has a long way to go up. So if it, let's say it goes back up to 0.618, right? Hypothetically, let's say from here, let's say if someone wants to add like at 32 cents, so from 32 cents to 0.618, man, that's like 20x from here. So that's what I'm saying. There are some altcoins, they are like really, really oversold. So this altcoin hasn't done anything other than just going down, right? The only thing it has done, like from about May last year, right? It just kept on going down. It hasn't done anything else. So that means the flip side, it could go back up a lot higher, like a lot quicker. Like the bear market will last long, but when it pumps, it'll be really quick and can quickly come back to 0.618. So these sort of coins I'm going to add to my portfolio. Like, given that none of this financial advice, and then before you add these coins, you have to make sure I have enough. I'm really comfortable with the how my Bitcoin holding, and I'm quite comfortable with my Ethereum. So as long as you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and large cap, then like maybe 10% of your money you can put in these coins and see what happens, right? They are still risky. They could still drop 90% from here. It could happen if Bitcoin drops like say 14K, right? And these coins could drop a lot lower as well. So there's a risk. There's a high risk, and also there's a high return as well. Okay, so that's it for today. So Dixie, before I go, Dixie actually pumped because of this Federal Reserve news, and because they've been like really hawkish towards the end of the discussion. We can see Dixie started like pumping, so this is not good for the market, for any of the markets. So let's say like if we gonna get rejected, right? I mean, if it's gonna go, this could be a bullish pennant, right? You can say this is like a bullish pennant. Likewise, no, more like that. Yeah, so like that. Likewise, you can say this is a bullish pennant, right? So if it breaks about this trend line, then it might come back to retest, and it could go all the way up to 120. This could happen, right? And if that's the case, oh, it's not going to be good for Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin could come back down. So we have to wait and see. Yeah. So I mean, it looks as if we have more time now to accumulate for long term, right? I mean, I was expecting something similar to what happened in 2019, 2018, right? Where Bitcoin dropped to about like 3K and then pumped to 14K and then dropped back down to 3,700 during COVID. I was expecting something like that, but I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. There's still chance Bitcoin still could go up to about like 30K or something and surprise everyone. And people who are waiting to buy it at 10K, they might have to FOMO in at 30K, 40K. It could happen. So we have to wait and see. If it's not going to happen, we'll see a prolonged consolidation for Bitcoin for some time. It's too early to call anything right now. It's just yesterday, like they came out with this 75 basis points and all this hawkish news. So I would rather wait for a couple of days, probably until early next week or mid next week. We'll probably have a better idea, like whether it's going to consolidate or it's going to drop down. Like even if it drops down below like 20K, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people are waiting to buy into Bitcoin because people can see right now Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, right? Look how hard Federal Reserve has to fight with inflation, right? They are struggling. So for us, it's quite easy. We can buy Bitcoin like short term, yeah, it might drop a little bit here and there, but long term, like it's a really good hedge against inflation. That's what I believe. Okay, and then the other thing is, imagine if they're going to increase interest rate like this, like what will happen to the housing market? Right? It's not good news for housing market at all. But this is like this is really bad. Like I mean, right now in Australia, like people who did not fix their interest rate, they are probably paying about $1,000 extra per month, right? Because of these interest rate hikes, and then we're not going to see these interest rate hikes like um, to hit the market for about like 3 to 4 months. So by mid next year or so, we'll see a lot of people are struggling. Like they're probably forced to sell their house. I mean, like $100 extra $100 a month, people could not afford. Like from the past 4 5 years, because people do not manage money. And in this kind of a situation, like if the repayment's gonna go up by $1,000, they're forced to sell. Right? If that happens, this is not going to be good for the housing market. If the Federal Reserve keep on increasing interest rate likewise, say until early next year, uh, we would see like massive corrections for like a crash, simply a crash for housing market, especially in Australia, given that we have like uh, we have high level of debt, right? Not income to debt ratio is crazy high. So this is not good news. Like I just want Federal Reserve to do another 75 basis points in December and then pivot and then say, okay, from now on, we're going to slow down a bit. That's what I want to see. Yeah, nothing. I mean, we can't control it. The only thing is if Bitcoin going to consolidate for long term, I'm going to see it as an opportunity and I'm going to accumulate for long term. At the same time, I'll add Ethereum to my portfolio as well. And also I'll add like large cap, mid cap, and then small cap as well. And at the meantime, I'm going to play with like 3S, 3L. This is only for experienced traders. For example, Dodge had like a really massive pump, and then Dodge 3S, like Dodge short leverage token has dropped so much. So I add some like when Dogecoin goes down, I'll probably try to like make a little bit of money by adding Dodge 3S, like something you can buy on KuCoin. Anyways, that's it for today. It's a bit of a long video, like we had to go through a lot. Anyways, I'll talk to you in the next video. Have a good night. See ya.